under the degree. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your under the degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your under the degree, shining bright. Set the stage, Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling 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 and sipping this tea.
Y'all know I gotta run it back. Y'all know I gotta run that back.
It's your under the degree. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your under the degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea.
Let's go.
Spilling this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your under the degree, shining bright. Set the stage, Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling 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 and sipping this tea.
What's up, Diamond Gang? I'm back. Listen, it is so nice outside. Hey, if you outside enjoying this nice weather, I ain't mad at you. Touch some grass. That's what I say. But I'm back. I was supposed to go live last night, and I was just exhausted after work. I just couldn't do it. But this live stream is all about Pam Bondi, Darren Endike, who was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney, had a deposition. So we're going to go over a little bit of that. But I'm going to show y'all the task that Pam Bondi has had with Donald Trump. It spans over years. Over years. So it's a simple like. That's it. That's all. You don't have to send a super chat, super sticker. You don't even have to cash app. Just a like will do. That's it. That's all. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my screen and get into it because later on I got a live stream on an update on what's going on with the war, and it's a lot going on. All right, Diamond Gang, let's go. Now we're gonna start off with their attorney.
I think it's highly unlikely the facts, but we do know that Khan, Epstein's accountant, testified that the Epstein estate settled with Jane Doe number 4, a very important Jane Doe. Jane Doe number 4's files were hidden until Trump bombed Iran and changed the subject. Jane Doe's number 4 files were only found missing because of the Maxwell discovery. And people noticed that Bates stamps, numbers that lawyers use to identify documents, were missing. So,
and again, I've went over this 1,000 times. His attorney, his accountant verified that the funds that they had set up for the survivors, he paid out on a case that Trump was co-defendant with Jeffrey Epstein. Let's go.
We get finally, right after bombing Iran, we get the Jane Doe number 4 files. Now, lying to the FBI is a crime. Martha Stewart went to jail for it. All people interviewed by the FBI are told that. Jane Doe number 4 alleged to the FBI that Epstein abused her when she was 13 and that Trump abused her when she was 15. Khan, Epstein's accountant, testified that the Epstein estate settled with Jane Doe number 4 for both Epstein and...
Now, mind you guys, he's trying to backtrack and get out of that statement, but it's true. He paid out.
Trump. His lawyer tried to walk that back. Indike refused to confirm or deny that. Now, how do we get to the bottom of that? Congress passes a law.
Now, again, Indike was his attorney. So his attorney should also know who was paid out in that settlement. So his accountant said, yeah, we paid Jane Doe. Then he tried to take it back. Indike, when he was in his deposition, wouldn't confirm. So, but this is how they can get around this.
Invalidating all NDAs from the Trump or the Trump organization, from Epstein, any of his entities, from the estate, or based on any activities at the Epstein properties. Let's have the truth. We want the truth, no NDAs.
Epstein's sex trafficking operation would not have been possible without...
Now, this is at the actual deposition for Indike, okay?
...without Mr. Indike's services. Legal services, yes, but as we heard today and has been reported, he was a personal fixer.
When y'all see, too, how far Pam Bondi goes back and how she's attached, you guys are going to be surprised. When she was district attorney in Florida, there were so many charges, so many people coming forward with claims about Jeffrey Epstein. She refused to prosecute. So let's go.
For Jeffrey Epstein, fixing any problem that existed in his life. And he would have us believe, much like President Trump, that despite the long and in-depth relationship that he had with Mr. Epstein for 23 years, that he saw no evil or heard no evil about the crimes that were being committed. Personally, after 2 hours of hearing that, I find it very hard to believe.
New Mexico has begun to reopen a criminal investigation at Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, which was one of the many properties in which Jeffrey Epstein committed acts of sexual abuse against.
I don't believe that they're going to find anything at all because of who the new owners are, and just too much time has went by. Too much, but let's go.
against minors, both girls and boys. We know that there was not only criminal allegations brought to the FBI and DOJ, but there was also a civil suit involving allegation against Jeffrey Epstein at the ranch. Mr. Indike, who is in the room being deposed right now, managed the ranch properties, and I asked a number.
So you guys hear that? His attorney managed that property, but he still insists that he's seen nothing. Nothing.
Of questions about what happened at Zorro Ranch. And I will say this, although I can't speak to what was specifically on the record, I was told today by Mr. Indike's attorneys that they were not even aware that the U.S. Department of Justice asked to drop New Mexico's case against.
I find that hard to believe as well. I believe that he did know that. He knew that. And wait till y'all hear how much Jeffrey Epstein paid this attorney. And he also left him money when he passed away.
Jeffrey Epstein. And so whether that is true, we cannot verify it. But all of this points to the fact that nobody is talking, nobody is telling the truth, nobody is helping us get real answers. And so the cover up continues.
But I was able to get Congresswoman Ansari to come out and talk with us a little bit about what you've heard over the course of the last few hours. It sounds like he's answering questions, but there's an interesting dynamic that you and I were just talking about when it comes to this trio of people, Les Wexner, Darren Indike, and Richard Kahn, who really made up the.
And the black guy, they made this operation go around and around and around by supplying him with money and other things.
Inner circle for Epstein, and yet when it comes to answering questions about it, they're downplaying their role.
Exactly. I think I can't get into the details of what he's saying, but this is somebody who served as Jeffrey Epstein's main attorney for years and years and years. The impression that he's giving off is very much that he's just a guy. He was, just the family attorney, took care of some things. But of course, we know that he received tens of millions of dollars over the course of the years that he worked for Mr. Epstein, that he is, co-executor of the estate, so has access to all of the information. We've been asking questions related to.
Again, if he's co-executor of the state and his accountant paid out, that attorney knew. He knew what was paid out of that fund that they set aside for the survivors. So he knew that there was a payout for Jane Doe.
His knowledge of allegations when he became aware and why he did not choose to cut off his relationship with Mr. Epstein. He claims that he did not know anything until the allegations came to light. And I think it's just a theme across these individuals, whether it's Les Wexner, who was a client.
And here's the thing. They all knew when he got that sweetheart deal, they knew back then. They was his accountant then and his attorney then. So they decided to still be involved with him all the way up until the day he died.
Who gave Epstein upward of $1 billion potentially, Richard Kahn and then Darren Indike, these were his inner circle, right? And so to even try to pretend like you did not have a solid understanding of what was going on. And
I told y'all, just him and Ghislaine by themselves, nah, There's more players to the game.
To not take accountability for your role in it, to me, is very problematic.
And even at the start of the hearing, in both a statement and an opening statement, he once again said that both he and Kahn, Indike and Kahn, their lawyers, saying that they were not involved or aware of Epstein's crimes. I think the other piece of this equation that we're following today is what happened last night with Democrats storming out of the Bondi briefing. And importantly, I asked Chairman Comer today about the concern that some have that they're going to try to use this briefing as a pretense to say, well, that's basically the deposition that we subpoenaed her for.
Let me tell y'all, by the time I get done with the end of this live, y'all going to look at Pam Bondi a lot different. She's been helping Trump for many years.
Interestingly, Comer told me this morning he agreed that the briefing is different than a deposition that you would do for a subpoena. So that feels important. But how do you ensure that this subpoena is ultimately enforced?
I think we have to hold their feet to the fire. When there were negotiations between the majority, so Representative Comer and the Clintons, they immediately went to wanting a vote to hold the Clintons in criminal contempt for negotiating.
Exactly. Criminal contempt. So I don't know why Pam think that she's not going to get the same. Please, gang, all I'm asking for is a like. Please hit the like. Please hit the like.
We heard very clearly from Attorney General Pam Bondi tonight that my impression is she intends to negotiate the terms of her deposition. She was asked over and over and over again. No, it's not abnormal, but she was asked over and over again if she intends to come.
Thank you, Diamond Gang, for hitting a like. When y'all see this, I'm telling you, Pam is something else.
She couldn't give a simple yes answer to that question. And then when Chairman Comer was asked about whether or not he would ensure that this happens, he would not give a straight answer to that question. I think they have seen the response to that from last night. And so I'm glad that he said to you, he will ensure that she comes forward, but that's not what he said last night.
Epstein's sex trafficking operation would not have been possible without Mr. Endyke's services. Legal services, yes, but as we heard today and has been reported, he was a personal fixer for Jeffrey Epstein, fixing any problem that existed in his
He got Jeffrey Epstein out of a lot of SHIT, y'all.
life. And he would have us believe, much like President Trump, that despite the long and in-depth relationship that he had with Mr. Epstein for 23 years, that he saw no evil or heard no evil about the crimes that were being committed.
Did y'all hear that? 23 years he was up under this man, and you seen nothing? Okay.
Personally, after 2 hours of hearing that, I find it very hard to believe.
So I've been in the stakeout on Capitol Hill all day.
Now I'm getting ready to show you guys just how much he received from Epstein.
For the deposition of Darren Endyke, and he was one of the co-executors to the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. What we found out from Democrats today, pretty shocking stuff. He apparently made $95 million over a 23-year.
Did y'all hear that? $95 million over a 23-year time span.
Business partnership relationship with Epstein, which he says was completely professional. So he was paid $45 million for his legal services. And then Epstein wrote $50 million in the will for him. So there's also been a lack of clarity.
That's the magic number. Jeffrey Epstein left his attorney right here, $50 million. He left Ghislaine Maxwell, $50 million. And he left his accountant, Khan, $50 million. And he also left his pilot $50 million. Majority of that money went to survivors. Let's go.
About some of the settlements and payouts to victims over the years. And congressional Democrats basically found, in their view, that Endyke was in no way remorseful for his role over many years in supporting Epstein. They're also perplexed by many cash payments and withdrawals. They actually referred to Darren Endyke as Epstein's,
I'm going to say this, follow the money,
fixer, and that he played a critical role, and that Les Wexner, Darren Endyke, and Richard Kahn, who just testified last week, that they all said that they didn't see any abuse.
Meanwhile, Les Wexner gave Epstein $1 billion total, $1 billion from the span of their relationship or friendship.
See anything, didn't hear anything. And Democrats essentially said this is really hard for them to believe. I also followed up with Chairman James Comer about how they had this line of inquiry with Endyke. And so what he said is, they wanted to know why he kept working with Epstein even after he was convicted of abusing a minor in Florida. And he said the response was that Epstein told him he made a mistake. It was a one-time deal, wouldn't happen again, and that he didn't know the victim.
He really went for that? He really went for those lies? Come on, man.
Victim was underage. So this is what we're hearing so far out of the committee. We'll keep you posted with more updates.
This is Epstein's disgusting lawyer, and he likely perjured himself today. He claimed that he had, quote, no knowledge whatsoever of the late piece of crimes and the $1 billion JP Morgan Chase failed to report in suspicious transactions linked to Epstein.
I'm going to stop this real quick. I don't like going between screens, but I love this comment. AJ, sheesh for the people who didn't do anything and didn't know anything. That's a payday. I don't know anything. I didn't do anything. Ain't nobody putting me in their 8 figures. Will, period. That part.
I'm sure he had no knowledge of that either. As his longtime attorney, he would have no knowledge of that. He was deposed by the Oversight Committee today. His name is Indike, by the way. Let me emphasize 1 billion with a B dollars, and categorically denied.
Right there, y'all. That picture of those 3, the one in the middle, that's Khan. Khan is his accountant. That's Khan, y'all. Hi, y'all. Let's go.
Denied facilitating the trafficking. And he's not just his longtime attorney. He is the co-executor of his estate. Okay. So he was in a closed door deposition today, and he was.
Listen, AJ, wait till you hear about Bondi. This blew my mind, y'all. It's coming up next.
Very clear, okay? He said, quote, "Let me be clear. I had no knowledge whatsoever of Jeffrey Epstein's wrongdoings. My complete lack of involvement in that misconduct is matter of record. Not a single woman, not child, has ever accused me of committing sexual abuse or witnessing." He was living under a rock.
Thank you. Is it Faza? Thank you.
You guys, like... There was a big ass rock and he was living under it because he's a big boy. He needs a big ass rock. But so far in the closed door depositions, we've had Les Wexner, Epstein's one-time client and former Victoria's Secret CEO, not connected to Mossad at all, or the blue and white state at all, not connected. We have also had Richard Kahn, his...
Boom. So the first person was Les Wexner. That's who gave him $1 billion. Here's Richard Kahn, his accountant.
His co-executor of estate, as well as his accountant, who also has amnesia and has no recollection or understanding of anything that happened because they all are brain dead, you guys. And of course, we have Pam Bondi, who is up for deposition, but refuses.
And I know why she's refusing, and you guys will see too.
To answer questions or go under oath. And we'll see what happens with this biatch in April.
Review. Alan Dershowitz was
all right,
Jeffrey...
y'all ready? I need y'all to follow this. This is the trail, okay? This is the trail. Peep this. Alan Dershowitz. Let's go.
Epstein's attorney back then. He helped arrange the sweetheart deal. And here is the great Alan Dershowitz defending Donald Trump during Trump's first impeachment.
Y'all see that? Okay, so Alan defended Trump and he defended Jeffrey Epstein. He got him the sweetheart deal. Let's go.
Kenneth Starr, the Whitewater prosecutor who went after Bill Clinton because Bill Clinton lied about oral sex. Well, Ken Starr, a few years later, was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney back in 2008. And
y'all hear that? So Kent Starr went after Clinton, then became Jeffrey Epstein's attorney. Let's go.
Here is Ken Starr serving as Donald Trump's attorney during...
Bingo. So boom. Now he's Donald Trump's attorney. This is, I'm telling you, hand in hand and hand in hand. Let's go.
Trump's first impeachment trial. And here's Pam Bondi. Back then, she had just left her post as Florida's Attorney General, and she served as Donald Trump's lawyer, too, during his first impeachment trial. So,
y'all see that? But I'm going to tell y'all now, it spans way farther than that. I'm going to show y'all. Let's go.
Unlike Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr, Pam Bondi wasn't also Jeffrey Epstein's defense lawyer. No, she was way more important to Jeffrey Epstein than a defense attorney. She was Florida's Attorney General when nearly 200 of Epstein's victims in Florida began suing Jeffrey Epstein in civil court. Why civil court and not criminal court? Because the Florida Attorney General, Pam Bondi, wouldn't bring charges against Epstein.
Do y'all hear that? So she gets so upset saying this spanned over 5 presidents. But here, when they were filing charges or trying to against Jeffrey Epstein, she refused to prosecute. So she was part of the problem way back then.
Despite the overwhelming evidence being presented by lawyers for the 200 victims down in Florida. Pam Bondi was Florida's Attorney General in 2018 when the Miami Herald broke that big story of 80 victims of Epstein's abuse. She was the Attorney General.
I need y'all to hit the like because there's another part to this. I'm going to show y'all how for years she helped Donald Trump with crimes. Hit the like, gang.
Office did absolutely nothing.
Pam Bondi has helped Trump do crime since 2013.
Since 2013. I got to take that back one more time, this connection. This blew my mind. Let's go. Let's go.
This was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney back then. He helped arrange the sweetheart deal. And here is the great Alan Dershowitz defending Donald Trump during Trump's first impeachment. Kenneth Starr, the Whitewater prosecutor who went after Bill Clinton because Bill Clinton lied about oral sex. Well, Ken Starr, a few years later, was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney back in 2008. And here is Ken Starr serving as Donald Trump's attorney during Trump's first impeachment trial. And here's Pam Bondi. Back then, she had just left her post as Florida's Attorney General, and she served.
All I need is a like. Hit the like, y'all. Hit the like.
Is Donald Trump's lawyer, too, during his first impeachment trial. So unlike Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr, Pam Bondi wasn't also Jeffrey Epstein's defense lawyer. No, she was way more important to Jeffrey Epstein than a defense attorney. She was Florida's Attorney General when nearly 200 of Epstein's victims in Florida began suing Jeffrey Epstein.
I see why she don't want to go in there in a deposition. I see why. And sworn in. I see why. She was part of the problem way, way back then.
In civil court. Why civil court and not criminal court? Because the Florida Attorney General, Pam Bondi, wouldn't bring charges against.
So that piece right there, that's why majority, I'm not going to say majority because a lot of them didn't. That's why some of the survivors were paid because Pam Bondi didn't want to go after Epstein criminally. So civilly, they got money. Let's go.
Against Epstein, despite the overwhelming evidence being presented by lawyers for the 200 victims down in Florida. Pam Bondi was Florida's Attorney General in 2018 when the Miami Herald broke that big story of 80 victims of Epstein's abuse. She was the Attorney General. Her office did absolutely nothing.
So she talking all that mess about those other presidents that did nothing and how under Trump, we were the only ones to release the files. Okay. Okay, Pam. Let's go.
Pam Bondi has helped Trump do crime since 2013. You need to know the backstory behind this tantrum.
I'm going to answer the question. You don't tell me.
Yeah, oh, I did.
Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. She keeps going after President Trump.
Nobody crashes out like Pam Bondi. It's epic. It's epic.
The greatest president in American history.
3 key facts about how Pam Bondi has covered up for powerful men. Number 1, it looks like Trump bought Bondi's loyalty with an illegal $25,000 payment in 2013. In case you forgot, in the early O's, Trump was running a fraudulent scam university.
At Trump University, we teach.
Pay attention. Hit the like, gang. So she's been helping him, and this is why she is so loyal. Please hit the like.
Success. That's what it's all about. Success.
Trump cheated thousands of victims out of tens of thousands of dollars. In some cases, their whole life savings for a university program that did not exist. Some victims lost their homes. Trump cheated one Army Gold Star widow out of her husband's death benefit. The victims alleged.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you.
They were pressured to pay everything they had and got nothing of value, no actual instruction in return for their tuition. A lot of the victims lived in Florida. Now,
bingo, Pam Bondi, here she go. Once again, did not go after Trump. Let's go.
in 2013, when Pam Bondi was running for re-election as Florida's Attorney General, she personally solicited a campaign donation from Trump. Around the same time, Bondi told the Orlando Sentinel that her office was looking into joining.
So it was, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So he gave her money for her campaign, and she did nothing about the fake school. Let's go.
Other states in legal action against the Trump University scam. 4 days after the article was published, Bondi's PAC received a $25,000 check.
Y'all see that check? There go her check right there. Biggest day. There go her payday right there. $25,000. Let's go.
Check from the Trump Foundation. This was an illegal payment because the Trump Foundation was a 501c3 charity, which was barred from making political contributions. But that didn't stop Bondi's PAC from cashing the check. Guess what?
This is insane. When I found this gang, I said, this is gold. This is gold. Let's go.
What happened next?
EJ.
Bondi's office announced it would not be taking action against Trump University. What a strange series of coincidences. The Trump Foundation later falsified its tax records, unsuccessfully trying to conceal the donation. And Bondi, well, she's been on the Trump train ever since.
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? This is why she's doing the crash outs. This is why she's doing what she's doing, and it don't stop here. Hit the like, y'all. Pam is something else.
Lock her up. I love that.
Number 2, Bondi gave Epstein a pass while she was Florida's Attorney General.
And we just went over that. Bondi gave Epstein a pass. There were multiple victims in Florida.
Now, let's be clear. Bondi was not responsible for the 2008 sweetheart plea deal that let Jeffrey Epstein walk away with a slap on the wrist for heinous crimes against children. That happened before Bondi was Florida's Attorney General, and it was arranged by then U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Alex Acosta, who went on to become Trump's first labor secretary. Notice how everything with Epstein and Trump is always intertwined.
And I just showed y'all how those attorneys were intertwined with Epstein and Trump. They carried the same attorneys for years. Let's go.
But Bondi,
and that's another thing. Paid out on his they was co-defendants in Epstein's fund for survivors from his estate, paid out on Trump's victim. Insane. Let's go.
On bringing people like Epstein to justice.
And I'll fight to put human trafficking monsters where they belong, behind bars.
That was a lie. Let's go. Hit the like button. Pam, 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 baby.
And she was Florida's Attorney General for 8 years, during which more and more Epstein survivors spoke out. And Epstein was living in Florida and allegedly continuing to abuse children. So what did Bondi?
And Pam did nothing, but she bragged that under Trump's administration, they released the files and dogged every other president out. However, she could have done something back then.
Bondi do?
Nothing.
Number 3,
Crickets.
Bondi defended Trump in his first impeachment trial. The open corruption and criminality that's happened since makes Trump's first impeachment seem almost quaint. But please try to remember how appropriately shocking it was at the time that Trump got caught trying to illegally withhold about $400 million of aid for Ukraine, unless Ukraine's President Zelensky would do Trump the personal favor of announcing an investigation into the Bidens. This was some of the clearest proof that Trump sees the power of the presidency as his to wield for his own personal gain, not in the service of the American people. Which is why it ought to have been alarming that he appointed a lawyer who had defended him personally to be America's.
And who is that? Bondi. Let's go.
Top lawyer, the Attorney General. And then another personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, his criminal defense attorney in his New York trial, to be Deputy Attorney General. Bonus fact. Bondi sided with Trump against the American people again as part of Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Bondi has spent over a decade placing her loyalty to Trump above her oaths of office. So it figures that she would try to redact the reported 1 million plus references to Trump in the Epstein files. And
Diamond Gang, this is why she did what she did. This is why she did what she did.
Lambast anyone who dares to question Trump's extensive and well-documented ties to a convicted child predator. And it's not surprising.
And only released them when they got caught. That's the only reason why she released them. Not because it was the right thing to do, because they got caught hiding them.
Surprising that she would refuse to speak to Epstein survivors or even turn to face them when they were directly behind her. I'm Alan Piper at apiper13 and Piperama. Follow Courier Newsroom to stay on top of this developing story.
We begin tonight here with breaking news involving President Trump and the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Now, y'all remember this? Let's go.
Tonight, the Wall Street Journal is...
Because we're going to walk it back, and I'm going to show y'all some of the things that Pam Bondi has said that is coming back to haunt her.
Now reporting that Attorney General Pam Bondi and her deputy Todd Blanche told President Trump back in May that his name appears in the Epstein files multiple times.
So they told him. They told him. Y'all remember that. They told him.
Last week, when pressed by ABC's Catherine Faulders, the president denied that the attorney general told him his name was in the files. The attorney general...
That's a lie. That is a lie. As close as they have been, Batman and Robin doing crime together, she told him.
Reportedly recommending to the president at the time to not release any more files, and the president reportedly deferred to the Justice Department. And tonight, the Republican-led House Oversight Committee has now subpoenaed Jeffrey Epstein's former companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, who, of course, is serving a 20-year prison sentence. ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, leading us off tonight.
Tonight, the Wall Street Journal reporting that Attorney General Pam Bondi and her deputy, Todd Blanche, informed President Trump in May that his name appears
So, Diamond Gang, they gave Trump heads up, and then they tried to redact any and everything with his name on it. Let's go.
multiple times in the Epstein files. They reportedly told Trump they did not plan to release the files, saying they contain child pornography and personal information about the victims. According to the Journal, the president said he would defer to their decision. Last week, when pressed by ABC's Catherine Faulders, Trump denied Bondi told him his name was in the files.
What did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing. And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen.
The next day, I asked him,
is your name in these files, Mr. President? Is that why they aren't being fully released?
Back then, y'all. Back then, the signs were all over the place. Let's go.
Journal reports Trump was told there were other high-profile names in the documents, noting being in the files is not.
But Trump did not mind blurting out other people's name. Bill Clinton was in there. He did this. This person did that.
Not evidence of wrongdoing. Tonight, the Attorney General saying nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution, adding as part.
And we know that is a lie. That is a lie.
Part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. Trump and Epstein were friendly for more than a decade, socializing in New York and Palm Beach. Epstein was asked about their relationship in a 2010 deposition in a civil suit.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
Pay attention to his answer, y'all. Hit the like, please, and thank you. Hit the like.
What do you mean by personal relationships? Have you socialized with him?
For the people just coming in the door, I just showed everybody that when Pam was the district attorney of Florida, there were many complaints coming in about Jeffrey Epstein, and she refused to prosecute. That is why most of the survivors prevailed civil, but not criminal.
Yes, sir. Yes? Yes, sir. Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my.
It's a simple yes or no. It's a simple yes or no. So you know what that means, y'all. It's yes. He has been. Let's go.
6th and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they'd had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years. During the campaign, some of the president's
He next. Patel's next.
top supporters, including his current FBI director, Kash Patel, and Patel's deputy, Dan Bongino, spread ominous conspiracy theories about the Epstein case. Vice President J.D. Vance called for the release of Epstein's so-called client list.
Seriously.
Vance has been quiet since this war, and later on I will be doing an update.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
In February, Bondi said that client list was in her possession.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Y'all hear that? Back then she said there was a list, and now there's not a list. Let's go.
That's been a directive by President Trump.
But over the July 4th weekend, the Justice Department and the FBI said the list doesn't exist and that they wouldn't be releasing any more information about Jeffrey Epstein. Under pressure, the president later instructed Bondi to ask courts in Florida and New York to release grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. Today, a Florida judge denied that request, saying the DOJ didn't provide enough of a justification for releasing that sensitive testimony, adding the court's hands are tied. Tonight on Capitol Hill, Republicans and Democrats on a House Oversight Committee voting to subpoena the Justice Department to release the full Epstein files. Hours earlier, the full committee issuing a subpoena to Epstein's former companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving a 20-year prison sentence for child trafficking. And David Maxwell is also.
So again, back then she gave Trump the heads up. She's been working with Trump for years. So don't believe that she did not tell him.
Planning to meet with the Deputy Attorney General soon. Asked tonight about that congressional subpoena, her attorney saying that upcoming meeting with the Justice Department will, quote, help inform how she proceeds. And again, it's important to note Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence and is looking for a way to get out. David.
Mary Bruce leading us off at the White House tonight. Mary, thank you.
And that's why she quiet, because she believes that somehow, some way, she's going to get out and Trump will assist her to do it. I don't think he is.
Who gave the order to flag records related to?
Listen to this. Now, I pulled some things that she said that was so shady as hell. Listen to this.
President Trump.
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going.
She didn't say we didn't flag anything. She said, I'm not going to talk about it with you. So what they did is they went in and redacted anything with Trump's name on it. But they slipped up and they left that one part of that interview from Jane Doe in there, which people put the pressure on. The DOJ put the pressure on. I mean, not the DOJ, but Congress put the pressure on DOJ. Listen, release the other parts of that interview. They had no choice but to do it.
To have to answer for your conduct in this, and you won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Once again, the lie she told back then is sitting on my desk right now. I believe there is a client list, and more than that.
That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing.
If you guys can recall, there's a birthday book with all types of stuff in there. And I might bring that birthday book and do a live just strictly on what's in the birthday book that was given to Jeffrey Epstein from Ghislaine. It's a lot.
JFK files, MLK files, that's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
You publicly claim to have the Epstein client list waiting for your review and then produce nothing relevant to that claim.
Senator Durbin, if you listen to my entire clip on that.
Here she go, trying to clean it up. You said it, it's on record, ma'am.
I said I had not reviewed it yet, that it was sitting on my desk along with the JFK files, the Martin Luther King files. And I said I had not yet reviewed it. And if you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, excuse me, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no.
Put a 1 in the chat if you believe Pam. Put a 2 if you think she's a liar. Do that for me, y'all. Let's go.
Client list, our July 6th memo.
Who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag?
To redact. It's all the same. A simple, I didn't flag anything, would have been cool. Okay, here she goes.
Any records which included his name?
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you.
There's been public reporting
So she didn't deny it.
that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs in their search of Jeffrey Epstein's safe or premises or otherwise? Have you seen any such thing?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President.
Here she go. She acts like this is so far-fetched, and it's not. Here's the thing. Why redact them? If there was nothing in there, why redact them?
Trump, left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe.
I see Kelvin's comment. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are covering for Trump. I do believe that. That is my honest opinion. Yeah, she's a liar. Okay. Some people believe her. Okay, Lisa. And Miss Keisha.
Be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
The question.
The Epstein files are going to get released? We hope soon. FBI's been. Okay. So. Any dates? No, you know what it is? There's a thousand videos. Yeah. And it's all with little kids.
Y'all hear that? No, they asked, are they going to release it anytime soon? No, you know what it is, though? There are tens and thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids. So the FBI has to go through everyone. So it's just like, come on. You said that there was nothing in these files worth an investigation. That is a lie. A lie. Let's go.
To go through everyone.
Major news just dropped in the Jeffrey Epstein
Peep this. The survivors is coming after her. Let's go.
case. Several of the survivors are now suing Pam Bondi. A group of Epstein survivors led by Maria Farmer have filed a lawsuit.
And because she was the attorney general at the time in the
Suit
state of
against
Florida,
former
excuse me, because she was the attorney general at the time of the state of Florida, that those complaints came through and they chose not to investigate, they have every right to go after her. They do. For the people that's just coming in, I showed you guys. She was clearly the attorney general when 80 victims reported on Jeffrey Epstein. And at that time, he was living in the state of Florida. She did nothing as the attorney general. Let's go.
State General Attorney Pam Bondi. The allegation is that key evidence may have went missing during the early on handling of the Epstein cases. Early reports are that key information may have been concealed during the early handlings of this Epstein investigation.
When she was the attorney general back then. So she's been dealing with cover-ups and doing stuff for Trump for many years, y'all.
And the survivors are saying they've currently spent more than $1.1 million collectively seeking accountability.
And they argued decisions made during the original investigation helped Jeffrey Epstein avoid much more appropriate serious charges for years. If the lawsuit moves forward, it could reopen a lot of unanswered questions about how the Epstein case was handled and whether powerful people helped shield him from justice. Because for many of the victims, the biggest question isn't what Epstein did. It's how he got away with it for so long.
That part, how he got away with it for so long.
Who the hell, what asshole was it that helped cover it up for him? Now courts have to decide whether key opportunities for justice were missed or worse.
Big time they were. Big time. Because had she would have done her job back then, none of this would have happened. A lot of this wouldn't have happened.
What do you think? Should the entire Epstein investigation be reopened? Share your thoughts in the comments section and follow me for more.
In the Epstein files says.
Now listen to this, Diamond Gang. Not only was Jeffrey doing what he was doing, but he was also an alleged drug dealer as well. This is new. The DEA was investigating him. I had no idea. Let's
But
go.
the DEA and the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Forces were investigating Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was the target of an OCDETF, that's the acronym Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force investigation. The heavily redacted memo suggests the government had ample evidence indicating Epstein was engaged in large-scale drug trafficking
And this is not far-fetched, y'all. This is so not far-fetched. He had so many people helping him.
And prostitution as part of cross-border criminal conspiracies, and that Epstein was likely pumping his victims, including underage girls, with incapacitating drugs to facilitate abuse. And here's where Wyden is livid with this, because he drafted a letter, a request to the DEA administrator to please turn over an unredacted version of this memo. And guess what happened? Or more importantly, guess what did not happen? Wyden did not.
They didn't do it. Of course they didn't.
Get an unredacted version of this memo. And in fact, he is alleging in a letter to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Who's Todd Blanche, remember?
Yeah.
Donald Trump's personal attorney, pretending to be the Deputy Attorney General of the United States.
I've been covering Bill Gates' ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, this is going to come back. Remember, Bill Gates said he would testify, okay? He hasn't gotten his deposition, but when he does, for some reason, I think he's going to talk. We're going to get into what they were actually doing outside of what Bill Gates tried to say.
For about 5 years now. So with the release of more and more Epstein files, I really started digging into the connections between these two powerful men. And I found emails that show that Epstein frequently received information from a Gates advisor that helped Epstein make lucrative trades.
So listen to this. Behind the scenes, they were trading and giving each other heads up. Yeah, it was a lot going on illegal stuff. Let's go.
Bill Gates had a longtime science advisor named Boris Nikolic. As a major investor, Bill Gates would receive what's known as information rights or confidential company information. Nikolic, as one of his representatives, could often tap into that information too. Around 2012, Nikolic emailed Epstein about a company called Foundation Medicine. It specialized in molecular.
Pay attention, y'all, because they made money up off of this. Let's go.
Diagnostic testing. He was so bullish about Foundation Medicine that he shared a lot of information about the company with Epstein. He forwarded Epstein emails that outlined Gates's investment closing documents, sale restriction information, and those exclusive information rights, content that would not be available to the general public. Foundation Medicine went public for $18 a share. 4 months later, in January 2014, Epstein instructed his banker to buy 25,000 shares of Foundation Medicine.
And you know why he instructed him to do this. Let's go.
He paid a little more than $27 a share. The payoff was almost immediate, and Nikolic knew it. 2 days after
insider trading, they was doing it, y'all. Bill Gates.
After Epstein bought those 25,000 shares of Foundation Medicine, Nikolic emailed Epstein. Nikolic ventured to guess how much Epstein had made in just about 2 days. And he told him he thought the share.
Let me stop this real quick. Hippie said the only ones that will talk are the ones that will be given immunity and a new identity protective custody in this case, period. You said they are. I can't wait to get to the comment section. All right, we almost done. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, because I want to read y'all comments. Let's go.
Price would rise again soon. A few months later, Nikolic emailed Epstein that he expected greatly increased revenues. And in January 2015, Epstein's stake got even more valuable. Swiss drug
Y'all see this? This is clearly insider trading.
giant Roche paid about $50 a share for a portion of Foundation Medicine. That was almost double what Epstein paid for the shares around a year earlier. In July of that year, an email from one of Epstein's bankers showed that he was up to about 50,000 shares at about $25 a share. The files don't show how long Epstein held on to his stake. Yet in June of 2018, Roche said it would buy the remaining portion of Foundation Medicine for $137 a share. We don't know how much Epstein made precisely, but we do know that the stock skyrocketed since Epstein made his initial investment with confidential information beforehand.
Boom. Insider trading. This dude right here was telling them, let's go. Him and Bill Gates.
We reached out to Nikolic, and what he told us was that what he shared was either public information or information that he was authorized to share.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. It was insider trading. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this screen, start taking some of you guys' comments. That is my best. I love taking comments. That's the best part of this the live streams to me. Some of y'all comments be cracking me up. Okay, let's go. Let's see. All of these people are dying because the Epstein files over in our. I think that Israel do know, and they do have information. Later on, gang, I'm doing an update on the war. Yeah, there's a lot going on. A lot going on. You said they still trading. Yeah, I believe that. They all need to be up under the jail. I agree. I got to still put this one up on the screen. The only ones that will talk are the ones that will be given immunity and a new identity, protective custody in this case. And I believe that as well. Double tap that screen, y'all. Double tap that screen. What's up, George? You said now we know why people are still getting away with this behavior. Hippie, man, this is, I've seen you in here before. Welcome back. Look, I love to see reoccurring people. Welcome back. Let's see. Yeah, they definitely, it's a lot. It's a lot. They're getting away with a lot and been getting away with it for a long time. If she was an AG in Florida for 8 years, she has seen and heard lots of, yes. Lots of evidence. I didn't know that's where the survivors settled their civil suits. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome. When I stumbled upon that information, I was like, this is crazy. So, like, she did nothing as the attorney general. Nothing. So, yeah, that Jeffrey Epstein could have been stopped then. He could have been stopped then. You said, no, I don't believe her. Miss Keisha, okay. Was she covering? I don't know what that means. Let me take a couple more. Pam Bondi and Cash Patel are covering for Trump. I do agree. Patel next. Patel is next. Wait a minute. The sheriff testified that Trump called him in 2006 and 7 to inform them about Epstein. What? The sheriff testified in the grand jury in the 2008 Florida case. It's in the files. I'm going to look this up, okay? I will look this up. I'll definitely look this up. Would you say imagine actually being an American? Please, y'all, please hit the like. I'm not asking for a cash app, super chat, super sticker, just a like. Just a like. Keep me in the algorithm, Diamond Gang. If you're new here, please subscribe. Justifications are the liberals' best friend, but Trump. Thanks for misspelling that word, Camp. Listen, all opinions are respected. Just don't be disrespectful, misspell cuss words, and I'm cool with it. Stand in the comment section. Whoa, all those girls said Trump had nothing to do with them. That's not true. Remember, and they just said her name, Maria Farmer. Remember, she said she went to go see Epstein and Trump was there. Trump thought that she was there for him. And Epstein said, no, she's not here for you. And Trump said, oh, I thought she was 16 or something like that. But that's not true. Some of them have seen Trump. Let's see. If it wasn't for Trump, you wouldn't have the Epstein files made public. And that's a fact. No, if it wasn't for Congress, that's what I'm going to say. If it wasn't for Congress, not Trump, Congress, they stayed on their butts. What a skank. I mean, he's just disgusting. And he's Terry. Let's see. Let's see. Hate and bitterness is blinding you. Bill Clinton was there too. Oh, no doubt. There was a bunch of Republicans and Democrats that was in the files. No doubt about it. Nothing's blinding me. Okay. But Trump, Biden had plenty of time to bring the Epstein files to light. They all did. I think they all were in fear. You know what I mean? Because everybody was in them. But I'm saying back then, as the attorney general, you have 80 complaints against Jeffrey Epstein and you choose to do nothing. Come on. That's not okay. That's not okay. I showed you guys proof. I showed you proof. Why didn't Camilla and Joe do anything about the Epstein files? The same reason why the Bush didn't. You know what I mean? Bush was in office too. So I'm not sure. This I agree with. They are all crooks and won't do nothing. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Let's see. All right, a couple more comments and I'm an hour. Well, I'm over an hour. I'm surprised. Yes, please, please, please. And thank you. Hit that like button, share and subscribe to the channel. Please, gang, please subscribe. I try to go live at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. I'm trying to get my members only live streams up and running so that we could be a little more comfortable and say a lot more in those live streams. So please, but keep your notifications on. I want to say shouts out to my reoccurring subscribers. And I want to say welcome to anybody new here. And I want to say thanks to my moderators, especially EJ, because you always right here, no matter what. No matter what. All right, y'all. We will see you guys a little later. I will be live for an update on the war at 9:05 p.m. East Coast time. All right. So make sure y'all guys get in here. We got a lot to cover. And I will see you guys soon. Okay? Bye.
It's your under the breeze. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda the Great, feeling great, spilling tea, have a seat, enjoying.
Hippie, real quick, if you're still in here, I need to know this. Would you like the mod for me? Put a yes or a no in the chat. What I need you to do is, I'll go back through this. No matter of fact, I need you to do me a favor, Hippie. Go to anything that I have on my channel. Make a comment, okay? And I'll mod you up if that's what you want to do. Let me know. Please let me know. I need more mods, okay? My mods got a life. They got things to do. So I definitely need more mods. Let me know, Hippie, and I'll mod you up. All right, Diamond Gang, I'll see y'all in a minute.
Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing. Hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your line of degree, shining bright. Set the stage, Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, sipping and spilling this tea, sipping and spilling this tea, sipping and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea.